Hello everyone, my name is Christy Lohman-Killough and this is my action research plan. I am a teacher for 11th grade US history and I also teach 9th grade AVID. The preliminary need that I felt I should address with my students is that a large number of my students were having difficulty with their writing. And this became really evident after the juniors took the SBAC last year and the year before as a practice test. And some of the feedback that I got from the students is how they were having a hard time or a difficult time understanding why they were writing about a science article that they read for the English portion of the SBAC test. And they were having a hard time connecting how the writing could be addressed throughout content areas. And so, as a support teacher in that sense, I wanted to address the need of helping my students with that difficulty and how they could apply the writing process across content areas. As I stated before, I teach 11th grade US history and also 9th grade AVID. In my 11th grade classes, I serve approximately 120 students ranging from 15 to 17 years of age. Our high school is in a small rural community in Central Valley, California. We have approximately a little over 600 students. We have a large population of English language learners and low socioeconomics. My research question is, how can I support student writing in my class and across content areas? Started with the quantitative needs assessment, and to do that, I created a Google Form survey with 6 questions based on the Likert scale. And from there, I graphed the student responses, which I will show you some of the results of that survey in the next few slides. And then in addition, I created a qualitative needs assessment also using Google Forms. It had 2 open-ended questions. From the student responses to the open-ended questions, I coded them, and I was able to find 2 main themes for both responses. The first question asked the students to identify their strengths in their writing, and the second, their weaknesses. And from the second question, I was able to find 2 main areas that students had concerns with in their writing, and from there I developed some lessons for the action plan. Here is the example of the quantitative needs assessment. I informed students that it was voluntary and that their responses would be anonymous. And from this survey, I was able to create some graphs. And just looking at a couple of the questions, students felt like in this particular survey that they understood the writing process, but from some of the information that I gathered from the quantitative needs assessment, I found that there are certain parts of the writing process that a lot of students addressed as a difficulty or a weakness. And in the second graph on this slide, you can see that a lot of students were having difficulty knowing or understanding how to write a thesis statement, which is part of the writing process and the structure of writing. Here is the example of the qualitative needs assessment that I sent out to the students, again, informing them that it was voluntary and that the responses would be anonymous. And here are some of the responses that the students provided. And a lot of the responses, like this third, this fourth one, and going down, I can see that a lot of the students are having difficulty or they feel they have a weakness with the structure part of the writing. So addressing either the thesis statement, introduction, or conclusion, which is all part of the writing process. Through the literature review, I found that it is really important to provide students with daily opportunities to write. And when they become more fluent with their writing, they become more confident with it. In addition, a lot of the literature provided some strategies that could promote student writing. And in one particular article, or the text Hicks, Crafting Digital Writing, promotes a lot of strategies that have students publishing their work. And when they publish their work and they have a larger platform, then it helps motivate them to create their best work. In addition, a lot of the strategies that were provided in the literature have different aspects of the writing process that was focused on, and taking all of those pieces of the writing process, breaking it down for the students, and really getting them to understand each part of the writing process before having them put together a written response. So my action plan is, how can I promote writing across content areas with my students? And in order to address this question, I had to decide which would be the best way to begin to promote writing in my class that also supports other content areas. I think it's really important that students understand that no matter what class they are in, they can use the same writing process to address a variety of different writing prompts. In addition, I needed to address some of the student needs that were evident from the needs assessment. So from the needs assessment, I determined that it would be the best course of action to first address the structure of writing, and then from there to design some lessons that could help break down the writing process and promote student understanding of structure. Again, I decided to address the structure of writing, and after I addressed the need that I wanted to focus the action plan toward, I designed a series of lessons that would break down the writing process for the students. This is from dissecting the writing prompt so that students really understand what they are being asked to do with their writing. We broke down the introduction paragraph and spent a lot of time on how to develop a thesis statement and to continue the thesis-driven writing throughout the body paragraphs. So providing evidence in the body paragraphs that support the thesis or the claim of the paper. And then discussing the conclusion, which is basically the lasting impression of the written work, and how to synthesize the information and address the significance of their writing. From there, there would be a series of lessons where the students, I would guide them, model for them, and students would then implement those strategies in practice. And then finally, providing them with a writing prompt. Students would then spend time going through the writing process, addressing the writing prompt. They would be given feedback by both peer and teacher in order to then revise their writing, and also have a piece of reflection on what they now understand about the writing process, what they feel they may need additional help in, and what they feel was beneficial from the lessons or not beneficial. The final piece would then be the assessment, where students would be provided with a writing prompt and they would be constructing their own written response. They would also be provided with a rubric that would address the written response and the parts of the writing process that students addressed.